Curt Schmidt. Coach, thanks for coming by and joining us in our program this evening.
Thanks for having us, guys.
And Coach, tell us first of all about the start of your season, what things have looked like for the Stratford Ball Club.
As you know, we kind of started a little bit late and trying to kind of get our bearings together here, get in shape quick. We started out 4-0, and then we played a real nice marathon team last night. It was actually quite a bit closer than what the final score was, but, played pretty well, played hard, didn't shoot very well. And, that was kind of the difference.
Well, tell us about some of the young men on your ball club this year and the roles they have for you this season.
I'll start out here with Caleb Wrench. He comes off the bench for us as a junior. Real nice ball handler, real heady player. Plays hard, works hard. A joy to have on the team. Just a nice guy to bring the ball up. And then Alec Chapel, nice, thick body, rebounds really, really well. Another junior on our team, and a lot of these guys are pretty inexperienced, so it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of teach them our nuances, but he does a good job playing defense on some bigger kids, rebounds, like I said, well, hustles hard. And then we have Reed Miller, that's a returning varsity player who starts for us. He's a junior, real quick, heady player. It's nice to have some of his experience back. And then we have another junior, Jet Shaner, who is a new player for us this year and rebounds well, real good defender, and real quick, great attitude type kid. And then one of our returners, Drew Bruzewitz, who started for us at point guard position last year, who's had a really nice start for us, is back. We expect great things out of him. And then we have one injury, Riley Spindler, who's a sophomore, who had been new this year. We were hoping for some things for him, one of our better shooters, but he'll be out until probably end of January. Brooks Vanderhoof, another sophomore who's playing more full-time JV, but playing some varsity for us. But nice ball handler. Brady Berg, little taller kid who rebounds really well. Another sophomore, plays mainly JV, but he dresses for us, practices with us. And then we can get to some of our experienced guys, Peyton Glenn, who's coming back as one of our guards. Really good defender last night, rebounded really well, great attitude, great penetrator, like I said, and really good defender, just a super senior leader. And then we have Henry Zaleski coming back, another senior, who he plays our 5 spot. We're not overly tall, but real good kid, works really, really hard, good touch around the basket. And then we have Caden Foster, who's a newcomer, another junior, who we expect, to be able to hit some shots for us this year. A little longer kid, real good attitude, good kid. Then we have Brady Schmidt, a returning starter, who shoots the ball really, really well. Good attitude, good kid, works hard, really enjoys the game of basketball. And then lastly, another senior, we have Brandon Gabeline coming back. Works hard, is relentless at getting in the gym, working his tail off. Great kid. He helps us out around the post area. I know that's a list, but I don't want to forget anybody because that's embarrassing if that happens. So I apologize if I look like I was reading off a teleprompter.
Well, that's okay because you have a lot of good ball players there. But, you have some experienced ball players back, but not a large amount. Tell us about how that affects the ball club this year.
Well, it affects it greatly, especially when you start late. We didn't get a scrimmage. And I know I'm a broken record, but a lot of people don't understand it. You miss your first week. You don't have the scrimmage. So now, I was talking to Coach Geyer. He kind of thought we might, postpone our game with him. I'm like, we got to get started. We haven't had a scrimmage. It's non-conference. And so now when teams start throwing stuff at you that you don't think you had enough time to work on or you haven't quite touched on yet, and you don't get your set plays in, you have to learn on the fly. And a lot of these kids, the eyes are pretty big. Like, what in the world is this concept? Things aren't natural unless you really practice it and cause some repetition for it. But if you coach on the run or on the fly, it's a lot tougher to get results. That's why, I've been very, very proud of the kids for starting out pretty well, considering the fact. A lot of it is they've worked really hard. They've had great attitudes. But, the four seniors, I should say, really help, as far as, trying to lead, setting a good example. This is how we do things. And I think, but the juniors, because they've had such a good attitude, and in a couple of the sophomores there, it's been smoother, but it takes time. It's just like last night, we had to make some adjustments, and then you could see that things started to kind of like the experience kind of showed up. The inexperience, I should say, showed up when I was rotating different guys in.
How about some areas where this ball club looks like they could be strong this year?
Well, it's a tricky one because, when we played Athens, I think we were 12 for 24 at the 3-point line. And that's pretty amazing. We shot 50%. It's like we had wide open looks. We hit them. I think we shot pretty well overall against a couple of the other teams. And we've been able to take care of the ball. We've been able to play pretty good defense. But, it's, free throws were good, but then last night we just did not even come close to shooting well. And I just felt we were rushing our shots. It definitely was kind of a big game, and marathon's long, they're long and athletic, so they cause a lot of that. But we had some wide open looks, but sometimes kids think it's not as wide open as what they're used to. So that has something to do with it. But as far as strengths, there's athleticism, I should say, to play good defense, but you still got to put the ball in the hole. I think it was 8 point game with 7 minutes to go last night. And then the wheels kind of fell off because we just couldn't score. We kept coming down and hitting the iron, and they came down quickly, and they would score, and there be fouls, and all of a sudden it was a 20-point game just in the snap of a finger. So got to be able to score.
Okay, let's bring in Larry Heiser for some comments. Larry?
What do you feel, Coach, is the challenge as a coach now trying to get things going with your team? You mentioned not a lot of time in the beginning of the season there.
Well, you go with your absolute basics, like what's our default as far as, what's our framework, what offense, the kids that we run, our motion or whatever. And you got to make sure you don't put too much in because, like we had, I think, 3 inbounds plays, maybe 1 or 2 sets. And then we didn't remember them yet, because part of it is it's easier if a kid memorizes one spot on an inbounds play or set play. But because you don't know, everybody's seems like they're the same height, same kind of skill level. So then you have certain matchups you want to put on the floor, but now you're running an inbound play, but they're used to being at this spot, so
yeah.
So you don't have as many, and you're trying to get them to learn multiple spots. And that's the same thing with, offensive set plays. And in zones, we do a little differently than man, where you've got to have 2 people in the zone that, offense that they do stuff. I don't want to get too technical, but nevertheless, it's a challenge to kind of get them ready, and the emphasis has been fundamentals. So if you spend too much time on fundamentals, you're not learning X's and O's well enough. So it's a pretty tough balancing act, actually.
We talked a little bit with Coach Weinferner about that Merriwood South Conference and how tough it is and how that gets you ready for tournament play coming through that tough schedule. Do you feel the same way with that Merriwood South?
Absolutely. Auburndale played in the sectional final game. And this isn't a criticism. This tells you how difficult the conference is. And he finished 3rd place. And that's not a criticism.
Right.
We're friends, so that just tells you everything has to go well every night for you. And the fact that he's 1 game away from the state tournament, he was 3rd place in the conference, tells you right there. Newman was state champion in Division 5, and they ended up, I think, 2nd place. And then you had Marathon, and that's always a dogfight between those 2 teams and us. And Edgar has a very mature team this year, senior dominated, good athletes. Assumption's up and coming. You can't sleep on them at all. And Newman lost a lot of people, so that this is not quite as strong as a team as they've had, but normally it's tough. And then you got to go play the North, and North has some good, basketball teams there too. But the South is just an absolute beast. It really is.
Gene?
Coach, how about some words on your coaching staff for this year?
Well, I have Coach Bill Knetter, who's my JV coach. He's been with me, I think, about 18, 19 years. He's a Hall of Famer, was head coach at Marathon Girls for many, many years. I had Coach Heckel for the last 7 years, and he got a AD job at DC Everest Middle School, so his schedule doesn't permit him to help us this year. And Derek Austin, former player of mine, I love having former players help because they get it. He's been with me now, I think, about 6-7 years or so, maybe even a little longer. He's our JV2 coach. So, and now, my oldest son's come back from college for about a month, and he's helping me just for the month. He's going into education, and this is good learning experience for him. But this was his first practice tonight. That helped a lot. So, and then my middle school coaches, Travis Gra and Scott Ballman, do a real nice job.
All right, Coach, thanks for coming by. And you're playing Edgar on Friday night.
That's correct.
Another tough one in the Merriwood South, so good luck in that ball game, and you're out the season.
All right, thank you very much.